Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. This podcast is being sponsored by Get Loopy. On episode 41, you can hear the story of Isabel, the co-founder and CEO. Get Loopy, get a 20% discount off your first order. GetLoopy.com. Take it from the Iron Woman. Again, we only have special guests, and today I'm honored to have Aaron in New Zealand. So for him, it's already morning. For me, it's still in the afternoon. So welcome. And what do we say in New Zealand? You said it very beautifully.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Very nice. So I just want to hear a little bit of Aaron. He's a veteran of United States Air Force and has gone through many transitions in his life. But I want to hear from you. Who is Aaron who's going to join us just briefly? And then we go a little deeper into how do we navigate through the many transitions that you went through. Who is Aaron who's joining us?
Well, I'm Aaron from the Bronx. Not J-Lo from the Bronx, but Aaron from the Bronx. Raised up in the Bronx, the oldest of 6 children. Oldest son, my mom and dad had 3 boys and 3 girls. Went to elementary school in the Bronx, went to high school in Manhattan, then went on to university at New York University. A tall fella. At age of 14, I was already 6'6". And actually, I didn't grow any more since then.
Thank God, right? Otherwise, you would be in the Guinness Book of Records, probably.
My mother always used to get on us that we ate so much food. We were all tall kids. Went on to New York University and played university basketball. But I didn't finish university at New York University. I had too much of a good time at university. I enjoyed it very much and didn't finish. Dropped out in my senior year, very close to the end. I just couldn't finish for various reasons, and I decided to join the Air Force. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get out of New York City. I liked growing up there, but I needed a change. One of the things I want to kind of talk about is that change, when you initially think about it, sometimes people get scared of it. Mm-hmm. And initially, so did I. But sometimes you're just forced to that point where, hey, you need something different. You need to change the way your life is going. And we'll talk more a little bit about that. But after I joined the Air Force and worked as a project manager for communication systems. I had my basic training in Texas, and then I got stationed in Albququerque, New Mexico, which is a beautiful spot to be in the world. And then I was stationed in Dayton, Ohio. So I was in the Air Force for a total of 8 years. Got out of the Air Force, came back to New York City, got into teaching at LaGuardia Community College. And while I was teaching, September 11 happened, and my brother was working for an architect and engineering firm. And they needed people. When a disaster happens in America, some of you may know, the federal government kicks in and Federal Emergency Management Agency takes over, and they were hiring a lot of engineering firms. And my job at the engineering firm was just accounting and finance. That's what I took at New York University. And from there, I was promoted to the county manager for the department, but I got burned out and a lot of stress. It was a very well-paying job, but it's kind of got burned out. Took some time off. And then my next adventure was working for the Department of Veteran Affairs, helping all the veterans make the transition from the military to the civilian world. I think that's when where we met.
I think so, yeah. I just wanted to say, I think that's when we met, stand besides them. Yes, I think that's where we met.
And so that was my last position working for the Department of Veteran Affairs. My first position there was helping veterans find employment. And then my second position there was as a transition advocate, helping veterans not only with employment, but if they have other benefits that were available to them, health, education, if they needed counseling services, to help them access the benefits at the VA. And I really enjoyed that job. It gave me a lot of satisfaction I'm able to help another fellow veteran. And even though I didn't go through some of the situations that they went through with their transitions, I understood it's difficult. And having someone support you, maybe not guide you, but understand that, hey, when you have a conversation with them where they want to go, and just lead them to the resources. And one of the things I've learned in my path is that people have to make their own decisions. So you can give them information and the resources and be a coach. And that's what I kind of really deep down, I think I really am a coach. And playing basketball in elementary school, high school, and university, I had some good coaches and some bad coaches. But one of the things that all the coaches did, I think they really truly had a desire for you to improve yourself in the game of I play basketball, to understand what you can do and that you can do it better, even though sometimes you don't think you can, and push you in a direction. And I really appreciate the coaches that I've had in my life and understand that sometimes you do need a kick in the butt. Sometimes you need an encouraging word. And when I was at the VA, I've learned to kind of see where they wanted to go and just offer them the assistance that they wanted. And then they kind of took it from there. And sometimes they will come back and thank me and just the encouragement with just a few words. And that really helped them. And then from the VA, I met the love of my life.
That's a nice story.
Yes. She's a Kiwi. We met. She was coming to New York on business. So we met in New York and she wanted to see New York City. So I showed her around and I came to New Zealand. And when I was making that decision I'm going to leave the kind of comfort of the financial stability of working with the VA, I probably could have worked there for the rest of my life if I wanted to. But I remember talking to one of my colleagues and I told him, hey, I'm getting a little scared about, making this leap. And he put it very succinctly. I think he said one sentence to me that really calmed me down. He said, Aaron, if it doesn't work out, you can always come back to America.
So we can always go back, right? What's the worst? What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. And that really put it, really changed my mindset and put it in a different frame of reference that, this was an adventure. This is the person I really love and I want to go for it. And why not? And he just said it kind of cavalier, but he meant what he said. He didn't give me a long speech. He just put it in those simple terms. You can always return back to what you were doing. Yeah. And that really put it in perspective to me.
And I also think when you fall in love, sometimes you have your heart is telling you something, right? So we are so focused on the head, the analytical and the training and whatever, but sometimes the heart is telling us something else, and why not follow the heart? That's a beautiful story. Yeah. And how long have you been in New Zealand?
So we met in 2014. I landed in New Zealand in July 4th, believe it or not, 2015. And I couldn't work for a while once I got here to get all my visa and everything in order. So I dropped out of New York University many, many years ago. And I decided when I was in New York, I started back at getting my undergraduate degree. And I decided to go to Fordham University. And since I had that time off, I took a lot of the online courses and finished up my bachelor's degree over 30 years later. So I should have graduated in 1985 if I was following the plan that, you go to university for 4 years. So I had a lot of stops in between 1985 and when I graduated from Fordham University in 2016. I think I got a degree in organizational leadership. And once I was able to transition here in New Zealand and get all my working papers in order and my visa, I got a job and something that I liked doing. Again, I kind of gravitate toward this in my life. I was a program facilitator for the Department of Corrections here in New Zealand. What that entailed was just helping the offenders understand some of the things that may have led to their decisions. Because ultimately, you may think a thought and have emotions, but unless you act upon that, it kind of just sits dormant. So someone can have a plan that they want to do an Ironman and have that in their mind and their thoughts. But unless you start the practice and the training for it, nothing's going to happen.
That's true.
So same way with the offenders, they may have a thought, they may have anger, things may have happened in their life, but until you take the action on that. So what we're trying to do is get them to kind of slow down, even though that's very difficult for anybody, not only offenders, for anyone in life. When something happens, you want to get emotional, you get upset, kind of to slow down and use some space between actually what you're thinking and what you're feeling to the action that you want to take. So I did enjoy that job, but I wanted to move on. My wife has a terrific business here in New Zealand, and I had the opportunity to work with my wife for a while. Mm-hmm. And so I did that as well. She's a midwife here in New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of got back into what I really enjoy was the training. So that's what I'm doing now is the training. I worked in high schools, and now I'm working with adults and helping them and kind of improve their life and improve their careers. And I really get a lot of satisfaction of doing that. Sometimes it's challenging. They're adults, they have their lives and children. So it's not like university students where kind of all they do is focus on studies sometimes, like I did when I was at NYU. At the end of the training program, they come up to me and thank me and really appreciate the encouragement I gave them along the way. Because I know with my many transitions in life is that having someone just say, hey, it's tough, but understand that this situation that you're going through now is not a permanent situation. And that's when I want to talk about transitions, is that whatever you're going through now in your transition, it doesn't have to be permanent that way all the time. And that really puts a lot of perspective when I'm going through challenges and changes in my life, and even just day-to-day things that just happen. Life happens. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't always go according to plan. My wife thinks I'm very, very organized, but I'm not very organized. And I've learned over the years you got to go with the flow and understand that what's happening today is not necessarily the same thing that's going to happen 5 months from now, a year from now. That just take it and get through this day as best as you can, and then start the next day. That what's happening today is not going to be lasting forever.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all your insight, Aaron.
Thank you. You take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Always nice to reconnect with a person from the past. Stand Beside Them is a wonderful organization who is helping veterans to reintegrate into civilian life. I will also post that website into the show notes. Stand Beside Them. What are you taking away from this? Go through the transitions with ease and with flow and grace, and don't beat yourself up. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Chime in, like us, leave a review, and don't forget to order Loopy, the plant-based snack. You get 20% off of your first order. Take it from the Iron Woman. See you next week. Thank you.